Hello everyone. This is chapter number 5. I am starting. This is the first video for chapter number 5, that is entitled as Morphology of Flowering Plants. We have been discussing about the classification, and during that time, if you remember, we have discussed some of the criteria on which the classification was based, and over there we have discussed about the morphology, that on the basis of morphological characters, on the basis of some of the morphological characters of organisms, the classification has been done, or classification was based on morphological characters. Now, what do we understand by morphology? We are going to talk over here about external feature or external structure of an organism. And here, as the name of the chapter, Morphology of Flowering Plants, means what? Here in this chapter we will be learning about the external structures of flowering plants, and basically here we will be learning about the largest group of plant that we have studied, that is the angiosperm. Basically we will be studying about angiosperm. And then when we talk about different character, or when we try to understand about different characters of plants over here we are basically talking about flowering plants, that means angiospermic plant mainly. So here we need to understand, there will be so many technical terms coming, definitions coming, and those definitions and the technical terms we have to understand. Unless and until you understand about these technical terms as to what does it mean, it will be difficult for you to understand the other topics which are related to that. That means what? Over here I am talking about definitions and terms which are going to be used over here. The first word that I have taken here is morphology, as the name of the chapter is there, Morphology of Flowering Plants. And then the second word that I have taken, this is just to understand as to what is the meaning of adaptation. How do we adapt ourselves with the changing climatic condition? Our dress and also the type of food that we eat, it changes when the winter comes, or otherwise let us say summer or monsoon season. So based on the changes taking place in the season, environmental changes, with that we also change ourselves in the terms of food and clothing. So here we are talking about adaptation as to different plant. In this chapter we will be discussing as to different structures of the plant have adapted to perform different kind of functions, and they are able to live in different kind of climatic conditions here. So when we talk, let us say, about the structure of plant, root, stem, leaf, etc., we will also be discussing some functions which have been modified. They are not the main function of that particular organ of the plant, but the function has been modified. Now let us start with the chapter here. As the name suggests, chapter, flowering plant means what? This is the group of the plant which is most dominant group of plant on the earth. And if you talk about the number, so around 50% of all the plants comprises the flowering plant. And in number if we talk, it is around or about 3 lakh species which are included under the flowering plant group. And that is approximately equal to around 50% of all the plants that exist on earth. Now there are a lot of variation exhibited in terms of the size, in terms of the form and the structure of the plant group. Here when we talk about the tallest plant over here is, we have discussed earlier also, Sequoia. That is the genus name, Sequoia sempervirens. And this is actually a gymnosperm. The tallest plant, it measures around 150 meter in height. But when we talk about the angiosperm, over here the tallest angiosperm is Eucalyptus, and the smallest angiosperm is Wolffia globosa genus, and the species name here is Wolffia globosa. Now here the plants can be classified into different types on different characteristics, or otherwise on different basis. Like for example, first one, let us see here, on the basis of shape and size. Plants can be classified or has been classified into three groups: herbs, shrubs and trees. This is based on the shape and the size. When we talk about the herbs, these are plants which are, you can say, short heighted. They do not live for more than 1 or 2 seasons. Okay, more than 1 or 2 seasons से ज़्यादा ये नहीं रहते, इनका लाइफ साइकिल कंप्लीट हो जाता है. Plus they are not woody, means their stem is there, it is not very thick and hard. And then examples included are, like over here, lawn grass, tomato, potato, ginger, rice, wheat, all these are termed as herbs. They are classified into what? Herbs. The second one is shrubs. These are little bushy. They can live for more than 2 seasons, 1 year, 2 years, like that, or more than. Sometimes some of them are able to live for many years, so they become perennial. This is another kind of classification that we will discuss just now. After some time, the next one is coming. Then some others are there. Okay, example of this shrub is rose, hibiscus, etc. Jasmine also you can include over here. Then the trees, these are having, you can say, they are taller, plus they are woody, and they can live for many years. For example, around us we can see neem tree, banyan tree, peepal, mango, etc. All these are trees which live for many years, and also their stem and roots are woody. It has become hard. Now second one over here, on the basis of lifespan, as to how many seasons or how many years they are able to live. On that basis, they have been classified into annuals, biennials and perennial. Annual means what? These are able to live for 1 season or 1 year. Example like radish, mustard, wheat, sunflower, all these are the crops mainly that is grown in the agricultural field. Most of them are coming as annuals. Either they complete their life cycle in a season or otherwise a year. The second one is biennials. They complete their life cycle in 2 years or otherwise 2 seasons. Like for example here, radish, carrot and turnip. All three we eat their roots, because in their root they store the food. The first season they complete the, you can say, vegetative growth, and during that time generally we eat away the roots. But if suppose that these are left into the field, then what happens? The stem grows, branches develop and flowering take place. Later on they develop the fruits, and inside that the seeds. Generally we do not eat their fruit or flowers, but we depend on these, or we grow these plants, radish, carrot and turnip, for our food, and the underground part, that is the underground root, we use for our food, because they store food into this part, underground root over here. Then in case of perennial, these are able to live for many years. Like for example, banana, ginger, rose, all these and all tall trees, they can be included as perennial. Now here, these can be further classified into 2 groups. Either they can be monocarpic or they can be polycarpic. Now this is totally different word. It is not included in our textbook also, but later on these 2 words will be coming, and so I am discussing now here. Monocarpic means what? These are flowering plant, let us say. Trees, they live for many years and they form flowers only once in their lifetime. They form flowers only once in their lifetime. For example, here bamboo and agave, example of this monocarpic plants. And the second one is polycarpic. In this case, what happens? Flowering takes place almost every year, and as a result of that, we grow these plants, or these plants have been planted by human being for the fruit. Like for example, let us say mango. So many years it can live, and every year we are receiving the fruits from mango. Likewise, all other plants can be included here, like neem, banana, coconut. That all you can include over here in polycarpic, because here what happens? The flower and fruits are formed every year. That means throughout their lifetime, so many times they form the flowers and they form the fruit on which we depend, and for that reason we have planted them and we use their fruits for our own benefit. Now coming to the next one, on the basis of lifestyle. On the basis of lifestyle, as to where do they live mainly over here? Are they living in water environment, like inside water or nearby water, or otherwise they can live in desert and dry areas? So based on that, these are four over. Let us see. Xerophytic means what? These are able to adapt themselves to dry conditions. They can live with less water. Like you know very well about cactus, acacia. Okay, acacia you must be knowing, बबूल, हिंदी में बबूल कहते हैं, and it has sharp thorn. You can, or if you have seen acacia. So these two plants and others also can be included here into xerophytes. Second one is hydrophytes. These are plants that grow in the water or nearby water. Example, lotus, Eichhornia and Pistia, etc. are included as hydrophytes. Then coming to epiphytes, they grow on some other plant. Their roots generally are found to be hanging, and they have some cells or tissues in their roots which can absorb moisture from the atmosphere, and these are orchids mainly. When we talk about the fern and moss, if you remember fern we have studied in pteridophyte, moss that is the bryophyte. These are also sometimes found to grow on walls of on some boundary walls, or otherwise on other branches of trees. So these are also considered as epiphytes here. And the last one is parasitic. In this what happens? They obtain their food, or otherwise along with food, water and mineral salt absorbed by some other plant, but they somehow take it from other plants. So these are called as what? Parasitic. Now parasitic plant may be of two types: total parasite and partial parasite. If let us say a plant is there, it is absorbing the water and mineral salt along with the food that is prepared by some other host plant, then in that case these plants will be called as parasitic plants. And if they have their leaves, and they can manufacture their food, but they do not, or they are not able to absorb the water and mineral salt from the soil, and so for that purpose they take the water and mineral salt from other plants. Means what? They depend on other plants only for water and mineral salt, because their roots are not well developed for absorption purpose. But they have chloroplast. They have their leaves in which they have chloroplast, with the help of which they can manufacture their own food. Example like here Cuscuta, parasitic. Then over here Venus flytrap actually are insectivorous plants. They somehow capture and live on some insects over here. That means what? That angiosperm, or the group of plants that are classified under this angiosperm group, they have large variety in terms of their external structure. or otherwise you can call in terms of morphology. But still, some of the structures or the parts of the plant, you can call them organ also, organ of the plant, they are having these structures are common in most of the plants here. If you see this sentence, angiosperms have a large diversity in external structure and morphology, still they have the presence of following structure in common. That means what? That these organs or the parts of the plants are found in all the plants, and these are common structures, like for example roots, all plants have, because unless and until root is there, how the plant is going to get fixed into the soil, how the absorption of water and mineral will take place. Then the stem, leaves, followed by flower and fruits. First of all, the vegetative growth takes place, during which what happens, the root and the shoot develops, and then when the plant is mature enough, at that time the flowers and fruits are formed here. So over here we need to understand, right? Earlier I had mentioned that we need to understand some of the technical terms and the standard definition for making an attempt or successful attempt to understand about classification, and then also to understand about the internal and external characters of the plant. Here in this chapter we are discussing about morphology, that means external structure. Later on in the next chapter we will be studying about the anatomy, which anatomy means what? Internal structure. What are the internal structure of the plant we will discuss in the next chapter. But here what I am talking here, that there are some standard technical terms and definition that we need to understand before we try to understand about the classification, and also before we try to understand about the internal as well as external structure of this plant over here. And we also need to know about the variation or different kind of variation in the plant. That means plant parts over here I am talking, root, stem, leaf, all these structure what I have discussed over here, root, stem, leaf, flower and fruit. So in this structure lot of variations will come or variations are found. So we need to understand as to how these structures have been formed so that the plants can adapt to different climatic condition and environmental condition, because plants are found everywhere. They are found in the plains, they are found on the mountain tops, so they are found everywhere due to their ability to adapt themselves in the formation of different kind of structure. Means what? They have adapted to various kinds of or different kinds of habitats. That is the place where an organism lives is called as habitat. For what purpose they have to adapt? Like protection, let us say. We will be talking about thorns. कांटे की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. Thorns, spines, these structures are adapted or otherwise developed. The plants have this so that they can protect themselves. Climbing purpose. Some other plants are having the storage, like earlier I mentioned about the radish, carrot and turnip. They store the food in the root under the ground, and we use that as our food here. Now when we talk about the structure of the plant, morphology of the plant, so here plants are having two main structure you can see. One is under the ground, which we are generally not able to see, and the other part that we can see easily is the above the ground. So the part that is seen above the ground, that is called as shoot system, in which all parts like stem, branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. are included. Whereas when we talk about the underground part, this is called as the roots over here. The roots also are having branches. Roots also have developed what? Branches, so that they can spread horizontally or vertically downward. And when they spread inside the soil, that means what? They help the plant to get fixed and they can stand firmly. And over here two system, that means are formed here. The one which is present under the ground is called as root system, and the part of the plant that is grown outside the ground or above the ground surface is called as the shoot system. That means two different systems over here are present in all the plants here. Some plants are there, they live in water, they are hydrophytes, so little bit variation will come there. And here we are talking once again, you see, root system and shoot system. That is, the underground part is the root system, and above the ground whatever part is present, that is forming the shoot system. Now we will discuss one by one about the root system and the shoot system. Root system and the shoot system. First let us see the root system here. And this root system I am going to include in the next video. Thank you.